بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. الحمد لله الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم والصلاة والسلام على خير وعلم الناس الخير محمد. Today we are meeting for almost I think the sixth time for the Sheikh Al-Ghazaly book رسالة أيها الولد, the message of dear beloved son that he sent it to one of his students, that he was questioning him about like what he would do for his life, what he would do, like what kind of knowledge that he needs to attain to continue with. Like it was kind of a precise, summarized information to the point that he can continue without like the need to go through all the other books that Sheikh Al-Ghazali has written already, that the questioner is aware of. So the questioner, as we said before, like he is a student of Sheikh Al-Ghazali, and he himself, like the questioner, he is a sheikh, and he was like learned with Sheikh Al-Ghazali for quite some time, and he already had great knowledge, but like he sent his Sheikh Al-Ghazali trying to learn from him, asking him like, give me just like few points that I need to follow in my life that eventually I would be entering Jannah with, inshallah, and like this kind of knowledge that would be sufficient for me in my grave. And like we went through that, like when Sheikh Al-Ghazali like started to speak to him, like if you already got the message of Islam and like the Quran and Sunnah, what you would need was my knowledge. And then like and he told him like, but if that already arrived to you, or like what did you do like in those past years? And like we just like we're speaking about here that the Sheikh Al-Ghazali was kind of a gentle blame to him as a student, like what did you do for all this knowledge that you learned from me, and like what did you do in all the past years that you went through. So it was kind of like at the beginning, like how the questioner was feeling, and then Sheikh Al-Ghazali started to respond to the questioner, and like we covered like I think 2 advices so far. So today inshallah we're starting the 3rd advice from Sheikh Al-Ghazali. And so we'll say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim tasliman kathira. And like, and actually this is like the 2nd advice, it's not the 3rd advice. So let me start reciting in Arabic, and then like we'll go for translation. So the Sheikh starts with like أيها الولد. So the Sheikh starts with أيها الولد, and like I love the phrase "O son." Like he says "O son." Like I love the phrase "O son." Like you feel as though it is for us. Like perhaps it remains for us. Like "O son," it's beautiful for a person to have someone senior over him, and it's beautiful because like unlike the person who comes out alone, like that person becomes exhausted. Like if you are by yourself in this dunya, like either like in your job, if you don't have like someone who is more senior to you helping you and guiding you, and like either in your job, either in your life, either in your school or whatever, like if you are by yourself, like you would feel exhausted, and sometimes like you would go longer path more than others, like just like to attain that information, that if you had that mentor, if you had that senior person to you, you would get this information more summarized, more to the point. So the person becomes exhausted by the persons by themselves, and like Allah musta'an on that, like that you need the help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all before that. So the Shaykh starts with like أيها الولد, like dear son, and then like I will read the whole advice in one shot, and I will read translation, and then I will go for it one by part by part or piece by piece. So he says النصيحة سهل والمشكل قبولها لأنها في مذاق متبع الهوى مر إذ المناهي محبوبة في قلوبهم على الخصوص من كان طالب العلم الرسمي مشتغل فضل النفس ومناقب الدنيا فإنه يحسب أن العلم المجرد له وسيلة سيكون نجاته وخلاصه فيه وأنه مستغن عن العمل وهذا اعتقاد الفلاسفة. And the Shaykh continues saying سبحان الله العظيم لا يعلم هذا القدر أنه حين حصل العلم إذ لم يعمل به تكون الحجة عليه آكد كما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن أشد الناس عذابا يوم القيامة عالم لم ينفعه الله بعلمه. وروي أن جنيدا قدس الله روحه العزيز رؤيا في المنام بعد موته فقيل له ما الخبر يا أبا القاسم قال طاحت العبارات وفنيت الإشارات وما نفعتنا إلا ركعات ركعناها في جوف الليل. So the Shaykh is saying here, my dear son, To advise others is an easy matter. The difficulty is accepting advice, since it's better for those who follow their own inclinations and desires. They love the forbidden from the depths of their hearts. This is more applicable to seekers of knowledge and students of learning. Those of them who are busy in the grace of spirits and the benefits of this world, they believe that mere abstract knowledge without proper action will rescue them. This is belief of the philosophers. Praise and glory to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the greatest of all. They do not know this much, that when they acquire knowledge, if they do not work according to it, the indictment against them is certain. And Sayyidina Rasulullah said, the person most severely punished on the day of judgment is the learned one who didn't follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guidance and didn't benefit from his knowledge. And it has been narrated that someone saw Al-Junayd, and Al-Junayd was like one of the scholars in the early days of Islam, like after the past, for sure, like after the past of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions, but like he was like one of the early hundreds of the time after Hijrah. Like he was one of the major scholars, and after his death, like someone saw him in his dream, and like Al-Junayd was asked in the dream, like the one who was asking him in the dream, what news do you have, like Abu Qasim, like, and he was his kunya, like his name, like he's Abu Qasim. So he replied to him, like, perished are the speeches and vanished are the allusions. Nothing benefits us except the prostrations which we made in the middle of the night. So he said, like, perished are the speeches and vanished the allusions, like nothing benefited us except the prostrations which we made in the middle of the night. And this is like was Al-Sheikh Al-Junayd, and like Al-Junayd like was, as I said, like he was one of the famous scholars. So like for sure, like if you read that in Arabic versus English, like it would feel like a different feeling. Like the Arabic words here, like when he said طاحت العبارات وفنيت الإشارات وما نفعتنا إلا ركعات ركعناها في جوف, like it's different feeling for sure, it's different scent. So like it's encouraged for everyone like to learn this Arabic, like how beautiful the words that Al-Junayd said in the dream to that person. So the Sheikh said, started with أيها الولد, like, O son, النصيحة سهلة والمشكل قبولها لأنها في مذاق متبع الهوى مرة. So he said to him, O son, advice is easy, but the difficulty is accepting it, because the taste of the one who follows his desires, it's better. It's not easy to follow the desires. So advice is easy, the problem is accepting it, because in the taste of the one who follows his desires, it's better. Prohibitions are beloved in the hearts, especially for the formal student of knowledge. So the Shaykh, when he said طالب العلم, like he was actually speaking about the people who are like kind of student of knowledge, but they are focusing more on like that they are occupied with the superiority of the self and worldly distinctions. Like for example, if you see in the university, like there's like the teaching assistant, teacher assistant, like associate professor, full professor, like that some people, they just like care about nothing except they care about like this kind of superiority, like that those titles they call like people call them sheikh, that people are not calling them, like they are start to be called scholar, like they start like to be called like the one who has the knowledge, and so and so. So people like some like the people who are students of knowledge, that they care about nothing except this kind of, like the sheikh is referring to that prohibitions are beloved in the hearts, especially for those formal students of knowledge, that they are occupied with the superiority of the self and worldly distinctions. Perhaps what's meant by the formal students of knowledge, like I said here, is a student who is occupied with titles, appearances, like who is not occupied with the reality of knowledge. Like they are not occupied by the reality of knowledge, but rather with formal status, like name and positions. Like some people, they just like all of that. Like some people in universities, I said, like they become a doctor, professor, like assistant professor, department head, or teaching assistant. Like even the title itself, like if someone calls him a professor or assistant professor, and this matters takes a place in the heart of the person, and then becomes their goal, and the whole issue that the thing he is searching for, the thing controlling him, and the thing occupying his mind the most, like this kind of a matter. So the Imam is saying, like especially the formal student of knowledge occupied with the superiority of self and worldly distinction, for he thinks that abstract knowledge alone is ameen, like that someone thinking like the abstract knowledge is ameen, that his salvation and deliverance will be in it, and that he has no need of action. Like that person thinks like just obtaining that knowledge without taking any action upon learning this knowledge. Like what did you do is what you learned, and you remember like the first few words we said in the halaqah, when that the one who was learning from Ummina Aisha radiallahu anha, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with her, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he asked her like, I want to learn more. She told him like, what did you do with the knowledge I have taught you already? He said like, I didn't do much yet with it. And she told him like, Ya bunayya la tukthir min hujjajillahi alayna wa alayk, like, oh dear son, like do not increase the arguments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala against you and us. Like was learning all of those knowledge, like you have to act upon this knowledge. And like we have been taught that the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like that they do not, whenever they are memorizing the Quran, like they go like 5 verses, like they go that they understand it, they act upon those 5 verses, and then they start doing that. That's why like we find like them whenever they are memorizing the Quran, they would take long time. Like some of the Sahaba like would take like 8 years like to memorize Surah Al-Baqarah. 8 years. Like if you tell someone right now, like especially from the people who are memorizing Quran or memorize the Quran, like you know this guy, like he took like 8 years to memorize Surah Al-Baqarah, he would look down at them like I'd say like actually I memorized it like in 1 month, 2 months or whatever. But like the Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ, the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, they spent like 8 years to memorize Surah Al-Baqarah. That's why the Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ said like whoever memorized Al-Baqarah and Ali Imran jadda fi a'yunina, like whoever is memorizing Al-Baqarah and Ali Imran, he is like he becomes great in our eyes. Like why is that? Why is he like we look at him that he is great, and like he is because like he memorized it and he's acting upon those knowledge, he is acting upon this knowledge. That's why that like the Sahaba said like whoever memorizing Al-Baqarah and Al-Imran like jadda fi a'yunina, like he is doing so and so. And like it was narrated that Umar ibn Khattab or Abdullah ibn Umar, I don't remember, like he memorized Al-Baqarah in 8 years. Like why? Like it's not because like he has a weak memorization, not that was not the case, but like they took that way. And even like it has been narrated that one of the tabi'in followers, Abdurrahman al-Salami, like whenever he memorized the Quran, he said like the way he was teaching his students, like 5 verses, like you learn, understand, act upon that, and you go. And that's how the companions of the Prophet ﷺ taught him. And he was one of the students of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, the companion of the Prophet ﷺ. So this is like the Shaykh is saying, like whoever is thinking the abstract knowledge alone is a means, like and like that he has no need of action, he said this is the belief of the philosophers. That the belief of the philosophers, like who made the purpose of knowledge to be just knowledge and awareness, not an action, meaning knowledge for the sake of knowledge. And the Imam saying Subhanallah al-Azim, like glory to Allah the Magnificent, he doesn't know this much. Like when he acquires knowledge, if he doesn't act upon it, the proof against him, the proof against that person, the proof against him becomes stronger. As the Messenger ﷺ said, that the people most severely punished on the Day of Judgment will be a scholar whom Allah didn't benefit through his knowledge. Of course, like this hadith is weak, like that the hadith is weak, but like we are taking the meaning here, and like we have another hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said when he spoke about like أول من تسعر به النار, like the first that the hellfire will be ignited with. And like one of them, like someone who like whoever like reciting Quran, like and he said like he was asked like why reciting Quran, like why memorizing Quran. He said like for you Allah, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said like no, he said you did it like that these would say a reciter and they said it, so you get your reward already like in the dunya, and like that you will get in the get into the hellfire as your reward or your punishment in the hereafter. So the hadith is weak, but like it has another counterpart hadith, like it's authentic. So the Shaykh then said, Al-Junayd, may Allah sanctify his soul, or like may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him, was seen after his death. It was said to him, what is the news? O Abu Qasim, he said, the expressions have fallen away, the subtle indications have vanished, and nothing benefited us except small units of prayer we prayed in the depths of the night. And we said Al-Junayd rahimahullah, like he is like he was living in the early hundreds of after Hijrah, like he died in 298 after Hijrah, and he was a great scholar. So like again, like the passage itself, like that he said Al-Junayd, it's very full of benefits, especially if you read it in Arabic. Like he said, like طاحت العبارات وثنيت الإشارات وما نفعتنا إلا ركعات ركعناها في جوف الليل, and that's what Al-Junayd said. So like So let's say Bismillah. Let's take it one by one, the benefits from this beautiful message. So the first thing that we want to speak about here is the obstacle of complying with advice. The obstacle of complying with advice. And the issue, by the way, is not easy. Like once, like two men, I think we mentioned that last time, but like I'm going over it again. Like two men insulted one another in the presence of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the conflict happened between the two men, and the companions were around the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the hadith is from Sulaiman ibn Surad, and he said, like in the hadith, استبى رجلان عند النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ونحن عنده جلوس وأحدهما يسب صاحبه وكان غاضبا جدا جدا وقد احمر وجهه. Like that two men insulted one another in the presence of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم while we were sitting with him, and one of them was insulting his companion. He was very very angry and his face turned red. Then the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, إني لأعلم كلمة لو قالها ذهب عنه ما يجد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. So the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, I know a word, if he were to say it, like what he feels would leave him. I seek refuge in Allah from shaitan the accursed. So meaning that if he says this phrase, that's it, like this phrase, the anger will leave him. But look what happened, like when that person, so they went to the man and told him, didn't you hear the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam what he is saying to you? Like, didn't you hear that? And the moment, like the man, like because of the anger and here, like we're speaking about, like the obstacle is complying with the advice. How would you accept the advice? Because accepting the advice is not easy. So the man, and he's one of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Inni lastu bimajnoon." Like when they told him, like just like listen to what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said and say this word that would stop all the anger that you are going through and like your face is turning red, like listen to what the Prophet ﷺ said and say the same thing. So the man replied as if he is declining the message, or like the advice of the Prophet ﷺ, said, I am not crazy. That like the man, he said, I'm not crazy. So like he said, am I crazy so that I should say that? Like what made him say such a thing in a situation like this? Anger and defending the ego. Like anger and defending the ego. And it's the same matter. When someone gives you advice, accept the advice. When someone gives you the advice, accept the advice. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Ad-Dinu Nasiha. The Prophet ﷺ said, Ad-Dinu Nasiha. The religion is a sincere advice. Advice is easy for me to say, but accepting it, that's what's difficult. Like it's easy to say the advice, but like how people are perceiving and accepting the advice, that's the hardest part. Like that's the hardest part for people. Like, and by chance, like by the way, like here, from the manners of receiving the advice is that you do not respond to advice with advice. Like because sometimes, like when someone, like meaning, like if I came and said to you, like be careful, you are doing such and such wrong, like that's wrong. Like you say, like and reply to me, okay, and you also do something wrong. I remember in the old days, like I remember I was giving like an advice to one of my teammates in school, like back that was like 13, 14 years ago, and like I was saying, like that's you are doing. So he responded to me at that time, and he said, like, who is speaking? Look at yourself, like how much severe, how much miserable that you are. Like, so I was astonished, like I'm just like giving you the advice, and even like for sure, like there are some virtues. How can you give the advice and the adab of giving the advice, like that you say it in silent and so on. But like I was giving him, like when I told him that, like he said, look at yourself, like you are full of problems. So whenever like someone gives you an advice, be careful, like you are still doing something, like do not reply to the person and say like okay, and you also do something wrong. That's not what is expected from people. Like whenever you're getting the advice, like are you taking a revenge on me? Like are you repaying one a blow with two? Like I'm not saying this is for my own sake, I'm advising you, so accept the advice, listen to it and accept it. If it's truly in you, then that's it, like you will benefit. And if it's not in you, then be cautious, perhaps it's in you. Look at yourself, like maybe that matter is in you, so listen to the advice and accept it. Know that the first real obstacle in the journey of self-reform, especially in dealing with a shaykh, like with your shaykh or even with companions, is the matter of accepting the advice. Like that's the one of the most important thing, like that, to accept the advice. It's dealing with your shaykh. Like I remember, like when I was learning, like was the shaykh, like Mustafa's father, like Quran, like it really takes some effort, like especially if you are reading Quran and the Shaykh is correcting you. Sometimes like if the Shaykh is like correcting the person, like the person is not really able to take it. Like, do you mean like I'm reciting Quran wrong? Do you mean like I missed this rule? Like, and if the Shaykh is asking you like repeat that part, you would say, I said it correct. Like what did I say? Like that's actually like kind of a challenge. Like how can you be patient? How can you go over your ego and you stop yourself from like if someone gives you an advice, like to accept it? And here we're speaking of like especially dealing with your sheikh, and that's why like I learned that like whenever you teach someone, or like if you are going to teach someone, especially if you're teaching them Quran, like the first thing I say, I'm not criticizing you. If I'm correcting you, I'm not criticizing you. I'm just like, I'm trying to teach you the right way. So just like be patient with me, especially if the person is older than you, or like even in your age. So like you need to be, as a person seeking the knowledge, accepting this advice, and as a person also teaching, be aware of how people can behave, and like understand like it's not easy on the self to accept that. So because like the sheikh, as I said, like will advise you, of course, and your friend who truly cares about you will advise you. Like if you have a good friend, he will truly cares about you, will advise you. So if you do not benefit from your sheikh through his advice, and you do not benefit from your friend through his advice, then there is no goodness in you. Like no goodness in that companionship as well, and no goodness in your companionship either. So number one is accept the advice. Number one of the learning of the sheikh here is to accept the advice. Fine. One more thing that the sheikh said, like advice is easy, but the difficulty accepting it, because the taste of the one who follows his desires, it's better. So it's difficult. Like it's difficult. Like the other matter. Like here, the inclination to cross prohibitions is internal. Like that yourself, like or ourselves, like to go over, or like not following the like stop doing like something haram, or like abandoning something haram, it's more an internal thing. So the inclination to cross prohibitions is internal. Like the sheikh is saying, like the advice is easy, but the difficulty accepting it, because in the taste of the one who follows his desire, it's better. Like the people who listen to their desires and so on, it's difficult. But the one who wants to reform himself or herself will step on his own ego in order to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he says, for prohibitions are beloved in the heart. Like that's by nature. Like we as human beings, like we have been created this way, that we love like the prohibitions, like especially like things like we love like all the men here. If like there was a joke, like someone, he said, like if a man got married to one wife, like all the woman died in his eyes. Like that the joke is saying, like if a man got married to a wife, like all the other women like would die in his wife. So the one who asked him, like who said this statement, he said Musalima kadhab, like the Musalima the liar. Like he said that because like no, that never happens. Like if a man got married to a woman, like still the other woman would be alive in his eyes. Like he doesn't do that. So by nature, we as people, like we have, like by nature, we as people, like we have this thing that we still love things, like all the desires, like it's beloved to us, and we are going to cover that like from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So the prohibitions are beloved in their hearts. And let's speak about this sentence. Like he said, prohibitions beloved in their hearts. Like here, the soul commands evil. Like it loves to make mistakes. That's how we are being created. It loves to be completely unrestricted. Like these are words by Ibn Jawzi as well. Like let's look at it, and it's extremely beautiful. Like it's like I want you to focus like very carefully with me on those words. Like so Ibn Jawzi, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him. He said Ibn Jawzi on that, إذ المناهي محبوبة في قلوبهم. Like he said, like the Ibn Jawzi, like he said, إذ المناهي محبوبة في قلوبهم. Like Ibn Jawzi, like he said, جواذب الطبع إلى الدنيا كثيرة. جواذب الطبع إلى الدنيا كثيرة. جواذب الطبع إلى الدنيا كثيرة. Like جواذب الطبع إلى الدنيا كثيرة, the attractions of one's nature toward the world are many. The attractions of one's nature toward the world are many. The attractions, like here, like for example, the natural inclination, like a girl may want to beautify herself. That's a nature. Like that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the woman this way. Like that she loves like to beautify herself, like enter relationships, gather a lot of money, do such and such, and have certain appearance. Like a girl may want to buy this, acquire that, travel here or there. Are these things attractive? Yes, they are attractive. No, they are not attractive. No, they're actually attractive. Like honestly, they're attractive. Like the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden something and has made faith beloved to someone and made sin hated to him, that's another matter. But like these things are originally attractive. So Ibn Jawzi says جواذب الطبع إلى الدنيا كثيرة, like he's saying جواذب الطبع, like الدنيا كثيرة, the attractions of one's nature toward the world are many, and they are from within, like from strengths. He says that Ibn Jawzi, like I'm continuing with what Ibn Jawzi is saying, وذكر, like وذكر الآخرة أمر خارج عن الطبع, وذكر الآخرة أمر خارج عن الطبع. Remembering the hereafter is something external to one's nature. It's not by nature that you remember the hereafter. Like through your day, through your week, it's not by nature that your soul would push you to remember the hereafter. That's like by nature. Like we don't think of that. Like we don't think like imagine if you are thinking really that we are going to be dead, that we are going to be in a grave. Like would we ever think like to commit sins? Like would we even like caring about like all the pleasures of this dunya, like getting the most expensive car, the new phone that just like got released, like getting this so and so job, like getting like here travel there and so on? Like no, like but so remembering hereafter is something external to one's nature. Like meaning you need someone to come and remind you, or you remind yourself, or you exert the effort to do this, or you learn it. And it is from the outside. So the love, the attractions, it's coming from the inside. Like loving the attractions of the dunya. But remembering the hereafter is coming from the outside. Like you need to remember, to remind yourself, or get someone to remind you, or you exerted the effort and teaching yourself and forcing yourself to learn. So he is saying, like the Ibn Jawzi, like we continue with Ibn Jawzi, he is saying that وربما ظن من لا علم له أن جواذب الآخرة أقوى. وربما ظن من لا علم له أن جواذب الآخرة أقوى. Like perhaps one who has no knowledge may think that the attractions of the hereafter are stronger. Like perhaps one who has no knowledge may think that attractions of the hereafter are stronger. Someone say, like surely the attractions of the hereafter are stronger because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves for us to remember Him more and reform ourselves. So surely they are stronger. No, like Ibn Jawzi like saying, like the Ibn Jawzi like is responding to that, and he is saying like perhaps one who has no knowledge may think that the attractions of the hereafter are stronger because of the warnings he hears on the Quran. Like someone might say like ربما ظن من لا علم له أن جواذب الآخرة أقوى لما يسمع من الوعيد في القرآن, because like he is learning and he listening a lot to that in the Quran, so he starts thinking like that the attractions to the hereafter are more, because like he's reading that over and over in the Quran. But the matter is not like that. The matter is not like that, and Ibn Jawzi is responding and saying to that وليس كذلك لأن مثل الطبع في ميله إلى الدنيا كالماء الجاري فإنه يطلب الهبوط. Like focus with this statement يا شباب. وليس كذلك لأن مثل الطبع في ميله إلى الدنيا كالماء الجاري فإنه يطلب الهبوط. So he is saying it's not so, because the example of one's nature and its inclination toward the world is like flowing water. Look at the flowing water. It seeks to go downward. Like the water, it like in the valley, like in the river, it seeks to go downwards. Like we have waterfalls. Do we have water ups? We don't. Like we don't have water ups, we have waterfalls. So he's saying it's not because like the example of one's nature, like our nature and its inclination towards the world is like flowing water. It seeks to go downward. Look at this golden speech here, like how the Ibn Jawzi, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him, is seeing the example of the own nature is inclining towards the world, is a flowing water. It seeks to go downward, like water flows and flows, and it wants to descend. It descends like a waterfall. And he said, raising it upward requires effort. Raising it upward requires effort. Like he says, وإنما رفعه إلى فوق يحتاج إلى التكلف. وإنما رفعه إلى فوق يحتاج إلى التكلف. And he's saying like raising it upward required effort, meaning to become righteous and to walk against the current of your own soul and desires requires effort. This is what requires effort. Like that's why the support of the Sharia came. The Sharia speaks to you through the encouragement and warning in order to strengthen the soldiers of reason in yourself. To strengthen the soldiers of reason, then you begin to think, if I do such and such, what is at the end? And if I do not do such and such, what is at the end? And like again he said, as for natural inclination, its attractions are many. The surprising thing is not that a person is overcome. The surprising thing is that he overcomes. Let's take this word by word. Like, and he said, فأما الطبع فجواذبه كثيرة وليس العجب أن يغلب إنما العجب أن يغلب وليس العجب أن يغلب إنما العجب أن يغلب. So again, like let's say that in English. As for natural inclination, its attractions are many. The surprising thing is not that the person overcome. That's not surprising. Like is the person is overcome. The surprising thing that the person himself, he overcomes. Again, do you understand that? Like the surprising thing is not that a person is overcome. The surprising thing is that he overcomes. That's really beautiful words. Like the surprising thing is not a person overcomes, the surprising that he overcomes. The amazing thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses you and honors you, and makes faith beloved to you and beautiful in your heart. That's like the thing. And like we are in the time of ash-shahawat, like we are in the time of the age of desires. Desire has become the most important thing for people. The most important thing. Desire is like that this one lives for a desire, this one sells a desire, this one markets a desire. Look at like all the markets, like all the ads, like all the products, like the products itself, like that being sold to us, like during marketing. Like for example, if you're finding like anything, like any simple thing that such as like for example, if someone is selling you like this mouse, you would find like in the marketing thing, like whenever they're selling you the mouse, they are bringing like a very half-naked beautiful woman holding the mouse. Like what is the point? Like they are playing on the desires. Like we are in the edge of the desires. Like this one markets desire, this one has a market of desire, and this is the desire, like and desires and desires. Like people are controlled by their desires. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speak about that like in the Quran, and He said, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهُ هَوَاهُ أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهُ هَوَاهُ. Like أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهُ هَوَاهُ. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, have you seen the one who takes his desire as his God? Like his mood. Like the person is controlled by their mood. Many people do not struggle against themselves, like and have surrendered to this matter. Like from inside, their nature is moving in that direction. But there are young men and young women, and men and women, elders and elderly people. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with them, who stand against themselves, strive against themselves, like straighten themselves, like tame themselves and direct themselves towards obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, until their desires become followers of what came in the Sharia. Until the desires become followers of what came in the Sharia, and that's it. Like his desires become the Quran, his desire becomes Sunnah, his desire becomes like lowering the gaze. He begins to love modest covering, or she love modest covering. He begins loving knowledge. He begins loving lowering the gaze more than loving releasing the gaze. And I would say, like by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and like I'm honest in that, the sweetness of lowering the gaze. Well, I used to hear that like when I was young, but like when I grow older, like this statement like was different. Like it hits differently, because like it says like the sweetness of lowering the gaze is far more beautiful than the pleasure of letting the gaze loose. The sweetness of lowering the gaze is far more better than the pleasure of letting the gaze loose. But you must keep knocking on the door. Like we must keep knocking on the door. We continue resisting ourselves. Like keep resisting. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will surely support those who support Him or strive in His path. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, those who strive for our sake, we will surely guide them to our path. Like those who strive for our sake, we will surely guide them to our path. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran as well, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also said in the Quran, وَلَا يَنْصُرَنَّ اللَّهُ مَنْ يَنْصُرُ وَلَا يَنْصُرَنَّ اللَّهُ مَنْ يَنْصُرُ. Allah will surely support those who support Him. So you are striving against yourself. The struggle has two parties inside you. Your nature wants to go toward desire, and the caller of the reason within you, along with the Sharia, says, no, wake up. The caller of the reason says, like, return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Stop doing so and so. If you are sincere, your Lord will strengthen you and bring you back and honor you. And as I said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Those who strive for our sake, we will surely guide them to our path. So you must understand that, like when you resist yourself, you are walking in the path to Jannah. Whenever you are resisting yourself, you are walking to the path to Jannah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about that, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. As for the one who feared standing before his Lord and restrained the soul from desire, then paradise will be the refuge for that person. again for you, like for myself and for you, restraining the soul from desires is not something casual. Its reward is paradise. So you must understand it. And like, so is the matter is difficult or easy? Like, listen to this hadith. Like, listen to this hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. So Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, Allah subhanahu pleased with him, said, like, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, like the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, لما خلق الله الجنة لما خلق الله الجنة قال لجبريل اذهب فانظر إليها فذهب فنظر إليها ثم جاء فقال إي رب وعزتك لا يسمع بها أحد إلا دخلها. Like, so the Abu Hurairah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pleased with him, narrated that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, when Allah created paradise, he said to Jibreel, go and look at it. Go and look at this Jannah. So he went and looked at it. Then he came back and he said, oh Lord, by your might, no one will hear of it except that he will enter it. Like, everyone who will hear of Jannah will go and enter it. Like, meaning that no one will hear about it except that he will surely enter it. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surrounded it with hardship. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surrounded the Jannah with hardship. Like, the Jannah has been surrounded by al-makar. Like, حفها الله بالمكاره. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, ثم قال يا جبريل اذهب فانظر إليها. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, يا جبريل اذهب فانظر إليها. Like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surrounded the Jannah with hardship, with al-makar. Like, waking up like at Fajr, like using like the water is cold, like taking like little sleep, going out like to help and sick for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, taking out time of your day, like going out to help people, like sacrificing, like people who are sacrificed their jobs, like for whatever was going in for our Muslim brothers and sisters in Gaza, like they contest against that. Like, that's the hardship. That's the hardship. Like, you see, like you are in a position and like you have a high position and like you need to speak up just like to defend your religion, and like that's the hardship. So like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surrounded the Jannah with hardships. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked Jibreel, okay Jibreel, go and look at those hardships. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked Jibreel, like, go and Jannah and like what's around the Jannah. So Jibreel, Jibreel, go and look at it. So when he went and looked at it, then he came back and he said, oh Lord, by your might, I fear that no one will enter it. From what he saw around it. إي رب وعزتك, like he said, إي رب وعزتك, like لقد خشيت ألا يبقى أحد إلا دخلها. Like sorry, actually, like يا رب وعزتك لقد خشيت ألا يدخلها أحد. لقد خشيت ألا يدخلها أحد. Like, I'm afraid that no one will enter it. Meaning, like, now it's not that easy to enter Jannah. Perhaps no one will enter it. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the hellfire. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the fire. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Jibreel, oh Jibreel, go and look at it. Oh Jibreel, go and look at it. Like, اذهب فانظر يا جبريل اذهب فانظر إليها. يا جبريل اذهب فانظر إليها. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Jibreel, يا جبريل اذهب فانظر إليها. Oh Jibreel, go and look at it. So he went and looked at it. Then he came back and said, like he went to look at it, and then he came back, إي رب وعزتك لا يسمع بها أحد فيدخلها. لا يسمع بها أحد فيدخلها. Like, he said, oh Lord, by your might, no one will hear of it and then enter it. Like, no one will ever dare to enter the hellfire, because what he saw there. Meaning, it's impossible for someone to hear about the hellfire and still enter it. It's extremely difficult. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surrounded it with desires. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surrounded the hellfire with desires. Then he told him, subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Jibreel, go and look at it. يا جبريل اذهب فانظر إليها. Oh Jibreel, go and look at it. So he went and looked at it. Then he came back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he told Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Lord, by your might, I fear that no one will remain except that he enters it. Oh Lord, by your might, I fear that no one will remain except that he enters it. So he said, إي ربي وعزتك لقد خشيت ألا يبقى أحد إلا دخلها. Like, he's afraid, like, because of like the desires surrounding the hellfire, that everyone will go into the hellfire. So is the matter difficult? Yes, it's difficult. But as the Prophet said in the hadith, وإنه ليسير على من يسره الله عليه. وإنه ليسير على من يسره الله عليه. It's easy for the one for whom Allah makes it easy. It's easy for the one for whom Allah makes it easy. Seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do not become helpless. Strive against yourself. Like, I'm speaking to you and myself. Like the words, even when you listen it to by yourself and start speaking about it, like, it touches you as well. So if you are truly sincere and want to support Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like strive in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you support. He is the one subhanahu wa ta'ala who promised this in the Quran. وَالَّذِينَ جَهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Whoever is traveling in our path, we will give them guidance. So yes, the attractions of natural inclination are many. And yes, prohibitions may be beloved to us. But the sincere person crosses the obstacle. This is the obstacle. So the third benefit, like that dunya diverts you away from akhirah. So like the third matter here, the world diverts a person away from the values of the hereafter. The world we are living in diverts a person away from the values of the hereafter. By the way, like this is the words of Sheikh Al-Ghazaly like long time ago. Like look, today or not, we have like the phones, like the Instagram and TikTok and like Snapchat and YouTube and Netflix and like the World Cup, the games, like the traveling, like jumping from the airplane and like all that. The world diverts a person away from the values of the hereafter. Like this is how the world is doing to you. The world diverts a person from the values of the hereafter. Look what the Imam says. So look here at the Sheikh Al-Ghazali said, على الخصوص من كان طالب العلم الرسمي مشغولا بفضل النفس ومناقب الدنيا. Like he said, especially the former student of knowledge occupied with the superiority of the self and worldly distinctions. What has he become occupied with? That person, a former student of knowledge, worldly values. Am I a professor or an assistant professor? Am I a doctor or an honorary doctor? Am I a department head or not? Am I a dean? Am I a dean or a university president? Has my rank become such and such? Like, am I a sheikh or not? Like, I'm a scholar. Like, the people look at me and say that this is a sheikh or not? Do people say about me that I'm more knowledgeable than so and so or not? Like, am I the one who took charge of the volunteer work or someone else? Like, because like when some people like they got into volunteering work, like or something, they'd say like, who's taking the charge? Like, am I the one or not? Like, is my name is mentioned like more than other persons or not? Like, do they are connecting this place and this volunteer work with my name only? Like, or anyone like is trying to take some lights from me? Like, am I the one who will do such and such? No. Like, when you live in a community of richest people but with worldly values, the values of the hereafter fall. Like, even if the community, a neighborhood of richest people, but like the values here, like what the focus is worldly values, the values of the hereafter fall. Even if you go to a community that's not a community of richest people, you live with these values for the world and like for the sake of the world, the values of the hereafter will also fall. Again, if you live in a community of richest people in scholarly work, da'wah work, charitable work, or any such space, but with worldly values for the world and for sake of the world, what will happen? The values of the hereafter will fall. Now, what if we are not even in a community of richest people, but are living for the world, and through this world, the values of the hereafter will definitely fall. And look at the what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ لَا يَرْجُونَ لِقَاءَنَا وَرَضُوا بِالْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَاطْمَأَنُّوا بِهَا وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ آيَاتِنَا غَافِلُونَ أُولَٰئِكَ مَأْوَاهُمُ النَّارُ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, indeed those who do not expect the meeting with us, are pleased with the worldly life and are content with it, and those who are heedless of our signs, their refuge is the fire. Like, look here, those who do not expect the meeting with us and are pleased with the worldly life, like what is their reward eventually? Like the hellfire. He doesn't think about his Lord. He's pleased with the world, like, and that's it. He's content with it. So his life becomes like he lives heedlessly. Like, he doesn't think about anything else. The most important things are eating, drinking, owning, wearing clothes, bags, children, and such and such. Or like, by the way, even like if he's involved like in da'wah and volunteering work, he may still be living by worldly values and forgetting the values of the hereafter. He forgets that there is something called backbiting. Like, people, even though they are in the da'wah and so on, they might have a problem with backbiting. He forgets that there's something called the rights of servants. Like, he forgets like so and so, he forgets and so, and he wants to rise in the land. Like, he wants to rise above those people. Like, no, like, look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَا لَكُمْ إِذَا قِيلَ لَكُمْ انفِرُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ اثَّقَلْتُمْ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ أَرَضِيتُمْ بِالْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا مِنَ الْآخِرَةِ فَمَا مَتَاعُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا فِي الْآخِرَةِ إِلَّا قَلِيلٌ. Oh, who you believe, what is the matter with you? That when you are told to go forth in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you cling heavily to the earth. Are you pleased with the worldly life over the hereafter? The enjoyment of the worldly life compared to the hereafter is but little. Are you pleased with this? That's it. Like that's it. Like what you're looking for. Meaning the world becomes what you want, and you do not want anything other than this world. This is what the world did to you, and that we became heavy in going in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whenever you are living for the dunya, whenever you live for the dunya and this world only, the value of the hereafter would fall, and that's it. Like, and you start seeing a problem, a battle, and conflict between two values, between revenge, which makes me honorable in the world, and forgiveness, which makes me honorable with my Lord. Like, between like those things would fight against each other. Like, whenever like you are preferring or like giving a value more for like the worldly matters, like you'd have like those conflict in your mind and in your heart, like between revenge. Like if someone did something to you, like it's something like if you are thinking and you are preferring the worldly matter, revenge would be like your top priority, because like that makes you appear honorable in the world, but forgiveness makes you honorable with your Lord. Between raising my status for the sake of how I appear before people and the image people have of me and humility. Look at the value. The value of revenge is worldly, and it elevates in this world. Like people would say, okay, like this person is strong, like he can take his right, like we should be afraid of him, like he might be like have a higher status and so on. So like whenever like the person takes the revenge. But forgiveness elevates in the hereafter, even though it also elevates in this world like as well. Then do I raise my status or do I humble myself? Like affliction. Like what's affliction? Like is this? It's something extremely difficult. Like I'm tired, suffocated, and cannot bear it. Even though this may originally be one of the signs of the person righteousness, I only want well-being. I want nothing but well-being, and we all want well-being. But when affliction comes, I become resentful. Why? Even though affliction may be a sign of love, so I can be pleased, be patient, use it well, and live through affliction with the values of the hereafter, so the affliction becomes a blessing for me. Or I can live through affliction, like, and it will come anyway, like the test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like even like through like this test or calamity or like affliction that comes, that you can live through it, because like it's coming anyway, because like you must be tested. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, لِيَبْلُوكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا, like to test who among you like has better deeds. But live through it and with worldly values, so I keep crying, screaming, becoming exhausted, panicking, and losing everything. So like whenever like you get, like everyone is looking for what? Like everyone is looking for like al-afiyah, and like we are doing that. But like whenever you get like this test or calamity from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what do you do? What else? Like from an example is from like the conflict between things in your heart, whenever like the dunya is raising in your eyes, like look here at the accumulating the word versus charity. Like accumulating like the money versus charity, to keep gathering, saving and gathering. That's a worldly value. Charity is to give out and keep giving out. Like but this is the value of the hereafter. Like displaying beauty and tabarruj versus modest covering and hijab. Like displaying like for women specifically, displaying their beauty. Like you see the women, like they have this loose hijab or like cover that you add on their head, and you see that is loose, and like their neck is happening, and right now there's a new kind of hijab, like that the both sides of the hijab is going this way, but like the whole neck is clear. Or like if she has like something stretched, like to show that like she has a beautiful body, and like she has a beautiful parts of her body, like this is like displaying beauty and tabarruj versus modest covering and hijab. These two conflict with each other, like pleasure versus chastity, like as well, like the pleasure versus chastity, like that those are different. Like to be al-mut'a fi muqabil al-'iffa, like how can you do those two conflicts? And imagine chastity by Allah like has its own sweetness and pleasure, like fulfilling obligations versus relaxing the mind and letting the consciousness die. These will conflict. So if you live for the world, like all the values of the hereafter fall, and do not ask afterward why the person is doing so and so. Do not ask. Like if you see some person, he's like giving like the world matter is more value, like do not ask about this person anymore. Like he's doing this because like he's no longer living for the hereafter. He's living for the world. Like when he lives for the world, like he elevates worldly values, and when he lives for the hereafter, he elevates the values of the hereafter. So what are you doing? this formal student of knowledge, or anyone else, like, by the way, like, it doesn't have to be student of knowledge, any person may be searching for status and name. No, the reality is that everything has an outward form and inner reality. The reality of religiosity, like surrendering to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tawheed, turning towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and purity, like tazkiyah and so on. The reality is that I become servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning I submit myself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then there are appearances and things that people use socially. So are you living the reality, or are you using these things because they are your lifestyle? Think, what are you doing? If you are truly turning towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will find the situation different. You will find it completely different. And so the dunya, the world, like, truly causes a person to erase the values of the hereafter if he lives for it, through it, and only for its sake. But if you live in the world, like, using the world for the sake of the hereafter, no, like, that will be different. You will find the values of the hereafter makes you an entirely different person in this world. That's why such people today will be strangers. That's why whoever is doing that will be completely strangers. Look around you, like, the people who act like this, like, they're strangers. They are living by themselves. Like, they might even, like, don't have that much people around them. They are strangers in this life, like, they are not like the rest of the people. And the Prophet ﷺ said, فَطُوبَ الْغُرَبَاء, glad tidings to the strangers. Paradise is for strangers. Why? Because they truly elevated the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, supported the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and lived for the sake of the pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's go for the fourth value, or the fourth benefit from the same advice of Sheikh Al-Ghazali, like, and one of the beautiful benefits from this statement, like, al-ilm al-mujarrad la yanfa. Al-ilm al-mujarrad la yanfa. The abstract knowledge alone doesn't benefit. The abstract knowledge alone doesn't benefit. The Shaykh is saying in this thing, Subhanallah al-Azim, لا يعلم هذا القدر أنه حين حصل علم إذ لم يعمل به تكون الحجة عليه آكد. Like he said, like, glory to be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the magnificent. He doesn't know this much. When he acquires knowledge, if he doesn't act upon it, the proof against him becomes stronger, and that's the point. You are now learning. Is your knowledge separated from action, or is there an action with it? If it's separated from action, then it's a disaster. A disaster. The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith of Usama ibn Zayd, like the hadith of Usama ibn Zayd, that the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, يُجَاءُ بِالرَّجُلِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فَيُلْقَى فِي النَّارِ فَتَنْضَلِقُ أَقْتَابُهُ فِي النَّارِ فَيَدُورُ كَمَا يَدُورُ الْحُمَارُ بِرَحَاهِ. Like, فَيَدُورُ كَمَا يَدُورُ الْحُمَارُ بِرَحَاهِ. Like, the translation for that, a man will be brought on the day of judgment and thrown into the fire, and his intestines will spill out in the fire, and he will go around like a donkey goes around a milestone, meaning his intestines come out in the fire, and he circles as a donkey circles a milestone. People will see him. This is the man who used to command us to do good and forbid us from evil. Then he entered the fire. Is being punished with us? How? The people of the fire gathered around him and say, "Oh, so and so, what is the matter with you? Were you not commanding us to go to good and forbidding us from evil?" Subhanallah. Like, were you not saying to us? Allah said, the Messenger ﷺ said, "Were you not teaching us virtue? Were you not saying to us shame? This is not right. What's going on?" Like that, the people will go around him, and he responded to them, "كنت أمركم بالمعروف ولا آتيه وأنهاكم عن المنكر وآتيه." Like, كنت أمركم بالمعروف ولا آتيه وأنهاكم عن المنكر وآتيه. I used to command you to do good, but not to do it myself, and I used to forbid you from evil, but do it myself. This is it, and he destroyed himself. Like, the knowledge without action is a disaster. Like, it's a disaster. Of course, a disaster. Therefore, you must learn, and you must act upon what you learn. And there is a book that actually, like, I was thinking one day that we will teach, and myself, like, I want to study it as well. It's called, like, it's a small book for Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi. Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, like, he has a book called اقتضاء العلم العمل. اقتضاء العلم العمل, like, that means اقتضاء العلم العمل, like, knowledge necessitates action. Knowledge necessitates action. It's a small book, like, and hope, like, we get it one time and read it together. It contains a collection of wonderful narrations. If you list them one after another, you will truly feel it, like the situation is not acceptable. From one of the examples, like Abu Darda radiallahu anhu arda, like Abu Darda, like the companion of the Prophet ﷺ said, the Messenger ﷺ said, the Prophet ﷺ said, كيف أنت يا عوائمر إذا قيل لك يوم القيامة أعلمت أم جهلت فإن قلت علمت قيل لك فماذا عملت فيما علمت وإن قلت جهلت قيل لك فما كان عذرك فيما جهلت ألا تعلمت. So, like, that in the day of judgment, like the Prophet ﷺ is telling Abu Darda, like, how will you be, O Uwaymir? Uwaymir is like, that's what we say in Arabic, like something called صيغة تصغير. تصغير means like smalling the thing. Like for example, if you say a rajul, a man, you say rujail, like a small man, kind of like a way. So like that, changing the name of the person, or like making it as a smaller, or like a junior or something. And that's a way it can be taken in two aspects. It can be taken in aspect of humility or humiliation to the person, like that you are humiliating the person, or like you are considering him close to your heart. Like imagine like your wife is that you are calling her. If her name is so and so, so you add like for example, the Prophet ﷺ, like Aisha, like the Prophet ﷺ used to call her Aish. Like he is adding a male version to it, just like from getting closer to himself. So like same thing like that you Uwaymir here, that the Prophet ﷺ speaks to him in a way that he is like making it beloved to him. Yeah, Uwaymir, when it's said to you in the day of judgment, did you know or were you ignorant? If you say I knew, it will be said to you, what did you do with what you knew? So the person will be asked, did you know or were you ignorant? If you say I knew, it will be said to you, what did you do with what you knew? And if you say I was ignorant, like so someone might say like right now, oh, I'm ignorant, like I will leave this halaqah, I'm not going to attend, so like I don't need listen to the hadith, so I'm not taking granted for that. So that it will be getting this next question. If you say I was ignorant, it will be said to you, what was your excuse for being ignorant? Why didn't you learn? Like, what was your excuse for being ignorant? Why did you not learn? Like, we have a halaqah in the masjid that we are in here in the area. I'm not going to masjid because, like, since we have this in the recorded on YouTube. So, like I know that some people, like, they do not, like, I try, like, okay, let's attend the halaqah together, like fiqh or prayer. But these sometimes, like, they make a major mistakes in the prayer. But like they don't attend the halaqah. And for sure, like I'm not saying like they have to attend like my halaqah, but like at least like learn from someone. Like if you got the opportunity to learn, like why didn't you learn? If you are getting the opportunity to learn Quran, at least reciting the Quran, at least the minimum bar, why don't you learn? If you are taught like how to do the minimum things, like why don't you seek this learning? Because you will be asked, if you said I was ignorant, you will be asked, what was your excuse for being ignorant? Why did you not learn? Why did you not learn? So of course you must learn. Then you must act upon what you learn. Because like someone say like I'm not going to be learned, so I'm not going to be asked for like of my knowledge. No, but like actually you need to learn. You must learn and you must act upon what you learn. It's not acceptable not to act. And Al-Fudayl ibn Iyad, like one of the major scholars of Islam, he said لا يزال العالم جاهلا بما علم حتى يعمل به فإذا عمل به كان عالما. Like he said, that the scholar remains ignorant of what he knows until he acts upon it. When he acts upon it, he becomes scholar, and when he acts upon it, like he becomes a scholar. Subhanallah, that there is much in it. Like among that, what came from Ja'far ibn Malik, like Ja'far ibn Malik, like said, and that, like I'm going to end with that. Like he said, قرأت في التوراة إن العالم إذا لم يعمل بعلمه زلت موعظته من القلوب كما يزل القطر عن الصفا. So Ja'far ibn Malik, he said, like I read in the Torah, the Old Testament, if a scholar doesn't act upon his knowledge, his admonition slips away from hearts just as raindrops slips off a smooth rock. Meaning, people who work in da'wah and say, I hope Allah writes acceptance for me, you must act upon what you say so that people accept this matters from you. And also from Malik ibn Dinar, like Malik ibn Dinar said, إذا طلب العبد العلم ليعمل به كسره وإن طلبه لغير العمل زاده فخرا. Just like focus with that. Knowledge, like he said, if the servant seeks knowledge in order to act upon it, it breaks him like he makes him more humble. Like he makes more humble. But if he seeks it for something other than that action, it increases him in pride. Like if that was, like if he is not taking it to act upon it. So people who show off through knowledge, why do they do that? Because they sought it for something other than action. Among the beautiful narrations as well, and this is a very beautiful report, and it has something charming in it. And like focus with me on that, like we're going to end inshallah here, that he said, and like it has actually a joke, like not a joke, like something beautiful, that Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi that we are speaking here, like we're still mentioning narrations from the book of اقتضاء العلم العمل. Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, like he said in the narration, like عن رجل عن أبيه عن علي بن أبي طالب, like so he said, he was narrating about someone that he said, my father told me, my father, and the other one saying, my father told me, my father told me, my father told me, my father told me, that he heard Ali ibn Abi Talib says, هتف العلم بالعمل فإن أجابه وإلا ارتحل. هتف العلم بالعمل فإن أجابه وإلا ارتحل. So he says like that he narrates with his chain from a man, from his father, from his father, from his father, from his father, from his father. So it's like a father telling his child, and his child telling his child, and child telling his child, and child telling his child, that I hear that he heard Ali ibn Abi Talib that he said, هتف العلم بالعمل فإن أجابه وإلا ارتحل. Knowledge called out to action. If action responded, knowledge stayed. Otherwise, it departed. And subhanallah, this family honored with this statement. Like this family just like had this statement through its like the parents. And this narration transmitted from father to a son to a son to a son. Meaning all of them, subhanallah, cared about knowledge, transmitting the knowledge and also action. So it's extremely important. It's extremely important that you act upon what you learn. Otherwise, your knowledge will not benefit you at all. Otherwise, like your knowledge will not benefit you at all. Like I was supposed like to finish all the benefits from this part of the of that section of like this advice, like so we haven't finished, so we will continue inshallah next time, like to continue, so we are not more over time. Any question, Shabab? Any question? Oh, by the way, I'm looking on this side because like I put the Zoom on the other side, so I have to look if someone asking question or like raising hand. Any question? Okay.
Yes, I have a small question, really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So about Sheikh Al-Junaid. So when we are saying Sheikh Al-Junaid قدس الله روحه or قدس الله سره, I don't know, but it sounds for me kind of weird. What is قدس الله روحه? And Sheikh Al-Junaid, I know he's an imam, right? And he has like a tariqa, I think. So what does that mean? And like, is it fine if we can just say Imam Al-Junaid?
It's okay like to say rahimahullah. Like if you want to say rahimahullah, that's okay to say rahimahullah. And Junayd, like he's one of the shuyukh of the Sufiya, like the right Sufiya, not like the current ones that we are going through right now. So it's different. Like if people are just like taking his learnings out of its context into some other thing, but like if you, it's okay to say rahimahullah, like for that. If you don't want to say qaddas Allah rawha, like it might be like I'm not sure about like it's is it haram to say it or not, like I don't know, I need to check, but
asking for قدس الله سره.
I'm not sure about qaddas Allah sirra. I haven't heard it before actually, but like but qaddas Allah sirra, like that's I think I heard about it before, like someone was saying about it, but like I need to check because I haven't read it very often. It's not very common that I hear it before, but like let me check and get back to you inshallah next time.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Any other question, Shabab? I know like you want to close right now. It's 4 minutes beyond the time, so you want to go and run because like shaitan is just like holding me from here. I wanna leave and go. Okay, jazakumullah khairan, Shabab. Actually, there is I'm not sure. Okay, actually we are recording. Alhamdulillah. I thought we are not recording. Alhamdulillah. Okay. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. I will see you inshallah next week. جزاكم الله خير.
جزاك الله خير.
السلام عليكم.
السلام عليكم.